Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this beautiful warm coat. If you want to know how it's done, stay tuned and please do not forget to give this tutorial a good thumbs up. So over here guys, I am going to mark a guideline whereby we're going to implement our shoulder measurement, and then from this line I am going to mark from shoulder to full length, and mine is going to be 25.5 inches. Then on the shoulder line over here, I am going to implement half of the armhole round plus half of an inch. And then I am going to square across the pattern paper, and this line is going to serve as the chest line. Then I'm going to mark from shoulder to waist, and mine is going to be 17 inches. And I'm going to square across the pattern paper also. Now on the shoulder, it's half of shoulder measurement plus half of an inch. And then I'm going to extend the line all the way to the chest line. So guys, we're going to start by drafting the back pattern, and the neck width is going to be 3.5 inches and the neck depth is going to be 1 inch. Now to create a shoulder slope, I'm going to go down by half of an inch, and then I am going to connect it with the neck width. Moving along to this 2 points over here around the armhole, I am going to find the center point over here, and then right on this chest line I am going to mark quarter of my bust round circumference plus 2 inches, which is 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. And then I'm going to create an armhole curve. So right on the chest line I'm going to go out by 1 inch. From this point, I'm going to extend it all the way down to the full length of our blouse. Now for shaping, I am going to go in by half of an inch on the waistline and then connect it to the chest line. Right on the bottom, I am going to go out by half of an inch also. Connect these 2 points from the waistline to the full length of the blouse with a curved ruler. So over here guys, I am done drafting our back pattern, but before we do that, please don't forget to add seam allowance only on the neckline. So you might ask yourself, why not on the shoulder? Because when we went down half of an inch on the shoulder slope, I left another half an inch for seam allowance. So I'm going to take the back pattern and trace around it in order for us to draft the front pattern. Now on the center front, I am going to mark 1 inch for button placket or button panel. Then to create the front neckline, I am going to mark 10 inches. And then I am going to connect the button panel right on that 10-inch mark. So right on the neckline, I'm going to extend it and connect it again to the button placket. Now to create the shawl collar, take your back pattern and carefully measure around the neckline. So I'm going to measure before the seam. I'm going to measure the neckline before the seam, and it's going to be 4.5 inches. Then right on the neckline, I'm going to extend it by 4.5 inches. Now, once we have extended the collar, we want to go back by half of an inch. And then, marking this half of an inch, you want to quickly blend it again on the neckline. And this is how it will look. So as for the width of the neckline, I am going to tilt my ruler like so, and then draw a straight line. It depends how wide you want your collar to be. Mine, I'm going to make it 4.5 inches. And then I am going to quickly blend this 4.5 inches on the button placket. Now our shawl collar is complete. So now we need to add seam allowance, but before we do that, I am going to mark 1/2 inch right around the armhole, right on the center point of the armhole. I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch. And that's the difference between the back pattern and the front pattern, that the armhole for the front pattern is a bit shallower compared to the back. So now I am just going to blend this 1/2 inch back to the armhole curve. So now I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance right around the collar and right on the top and also on the sides. I'm adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. So guys, once we are done drafting our front pattern, we want to go ahead and draft the sleeve. So I'm going to take the front pattern and carefully measure around the armhole. Please note that the front pattern automatically have a seam allowance on the side, so even our sleeve will automatically have seam allowance. So I calculated my cap's height, which is bust divided by 12. It marked 3 inches over there. Now from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the sleeve length, and my sleeve length is going to be around 25 inches. So I am going to mark the 10 inches, which is the measurement around the armhole, and place it in between these two lines. Now I am going to find the center point of the 10-inch mark. And then over here, I am going to start by drafting the back sleeve. I'm going to mark 1 inch, 1/2 inch, going up. So if you want to know exactly how to place the 1/2 inch, find the center point between the two lines and go up by 1/2 inch and then connect the points. This line here, it serves as the back sleeve. So for the front sleeve head, I am going to find the center point of this line and then mark 1/2 inch going down, and then create a curve connecting it to that center point mark. And this line is going to serve as the front sleeve head. So for the sleeve opening, I am going to measure around my palm, and it's going to be 9 inches. So I'm going to take that measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inch. And then connect it all the way to the sleeve head. And now guys, our sleeve is complete. It's time for us to cut out the sleeve, and take note that I'm cutting the back part of the sleeve first, open up the pattern, and then trim off the front part of the sleeve. Now I went ahead and I cut the sleeve. I removed 1 inch on the sleeve because I'm going to add ribbon, and I went ahead and I cut the lining and also on the main fabric. For the front pattern, I divided the 2 pieces for the lining, and one for the main fabric and other one for the lining, and I added 1/2 inch seam allowance to join the 2. Now the back pattern, it was cut on fold. So I cut the lining including the main fabric. So for the front pattern piece, I went ahead and I cut 1 piece for the front piece. Remember, I did separate for the lining. So for the front panel piece, I cut on 1 piece. I hope you understand that part. So I'm going to join the lining over here right on the side, pin it down right sides facing, and take it to the sewing machine and sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I went ahead and I did that for both part of the front lining, and I'm going to join them now on the collar by sewing 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then take your back panel piece for the lining and join it right on the shoulders. I'm just going to pin the shoulders over here and then go ahead and sew 1/2 inch seam allowance also. Now the only thing that's not attached is the collar. As you can see, that opening, I am going to also join it separately. I'm taking it into the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch. Now this is how it looks on the inside. It's very neat. So the next thing is to attach our sleeve. So I remember that our sleeve has the front and the back side. Make sure you do align that correctly. And now the sleeve is attached, as you can see. Now the next thing is to close the side seam. Make sure you align the seam right on the armhole, and I'm going to leave an opening of around 10 inches so that we can turn this coat the right side. I did the same method with the main fabric of this coat. I sewed it the way I did with the lining. So I'm going to take the lining and place it the right side with the main fabric of our coat. And then I'm going to pin all around the coat. As you can see, I pinned all around, and of course there is an opening right on the inside. Once we are done sewing this is how it looks. I'm going to turn it to the correct side. So guys, this is how our coat looks on the inside. Okay, looks neat. So now we need to finish off the sleeve. So as you can see, they're not sewn together. I am going to take them out from that opening. Guys, as you remove the sleeve, make sure they're not twisting around the armhole. And now we want to attach the ribbon. So I cut the ribbon 1.5 inch smaller than the sleeve opening, and the width is actually 4 inches wide. So I'm going to take the ribbon and sew right on the side. Once I've sewn on the side, I am going to close it like so. And now take the main fabric, the main sleeve fabric, and insert the ribbon right on the inside. Okay, so we're going to take this into the sewing machine and sew around the sleeve. So guys, this is still on the inside of our sleeve. I'm going to take the ribbon back inside the sleeve like so. Now we want to connect the lining with the main fabric of the sleeve. So what are you going to do? I'm just trying to make sure that there's no twisting that is happening here. We want to align the seams, the side seams together on the opposite direction. Okay, so in order for us to connect the sleeve and the lining, we want to make sure that they are attached right on the sleeve head together like so. Make sure that the seams are aligned together as you connect the lining, including the main fabric of the sleeve. I went ahead and I pinned it down. Now I want to go ahead and sew it. Sew a straight stitch, and this is how it looks. And the sleeve is complete. So guys, as you can see, the ribbon on the sleeve is tucked in inside, no seams are showing. So moving on to the collar, I just want to attach the collar so that it doesn't move a lot. I'm going to insert my hand on the inside, and I'm going to pinch the seam between the lining and the main fabric of the collar together, right Right on the seam, I'm going to attach the main fabric and the lining together and sew a straight stitch right on the collar. And this will prevent the collar from moving around as you wear it. Then once that is done, it's time for us to close the opening of our coat. And I'm going to take it into the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch. And there we go, guys. I really love how this coat came out. I used a fur fabric and it's so warm for the winter. So I hope you will enjoy making this project as much as I did. So see you on the next one.